right. All right. So, towards the end, and sorry I'm late, everybody. My body demanded coffee. So I had to wait for my coffee to brew here. All right. So last time I did not manage my Git stuff, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. Not our Git status. Git status. All right. So I want to use all of these, or add all of these. Excuse me. So I'm going to add. Give that a minute to figure out what it wants to do. I'll navigate to Bitbucket here. Okay, so now git commit -m train. Okay, I'm gonna log in to Bitbucket real quick. All right, so now we want to push to that branch. Now that we committed. All right, here's my repo. So we're gonna wait for that to push up. And it's going to tell us to create a pull request. So we will do just that. Create pull request. Oh, that's good. We could delete it after we merge. You can review all your files that were added and stuff like that. There's no conflicts, so we're good to go. Approve. Merge, close source branch. While that's merging, I'm going to check out master. And I'm going to wait for it to finish merging. Then I'm going to pull. And we're all set. So we can check out our new branch. Pick up. And we will open up our project. And I forgot to make sure that my mic was working, which it is. I'm glad it was. Sometimes it likes to turn off the mic or like switch the default mic that my OBS uses, which causes my microphones not to work because this is technically the only mic I've got, so that's fine. All right. So we'll go over here, and I did create some pickups before, right? However, we never created a random spawner, for one. And two, I also want to create a physics pickup. So let's go ahead and open up the third person example map. I'm going to create a physics pickup. Okay. Sorry, 1 second here. I'm getting yelled at on Discord. All right. So let's create a new folder. Physics pickup. Now, this doesn't necessarily need to be a actual physics object. It's just good to be able to have a reference. So before we actually create, no, let's go ahead and create it. And I'll kind of show you how it works after. Okay. So actor physics pickup BP. Now, this is typically how I would see the clean your room prototype to be, right? So we have a mesh here, default mesh. In my case, I'm using a cube. that's going to simulate physics. You can create your physics pickup class, and if you want to create a bunch of like random stuff in Unreal and patch them in, you'd be able to do that with like this. We could do physics mesh, and then in construction script, you can grab that physics mesh, set physics. Oh, whoops, excuse me. Set static mesh, and then promote this to a variable. Name it mesh, and then make it public, and then you'll be able to set the mesh to whatever you want to right in the editor by making that variable public. So if I put this like right here, for example, you see now we have access to that variable, so we can change the mesh to whatever we want. See, it's like a chamfer cube now. We can do the sphere, all sorts of stuff like that, right? So you'll be able to change the mesh to whatever you want by using just the one class. Okay. So by ticking simulate physics, so when we click here, we simulate physics. Now when we enter the game, you'll see that it does indeed simulate physics. So it dropped down. If I run into it, we'll push it. But now how do we go about picking that object up? So if we go into our third person character, we're going to need a couple of things. But first, I'll keep that like that for now. We need a physics handle. Like that. And then I'm also going to want an arrow component. Okay. And this is going to be target pickup location. So that's where we're going to actually hold the item at. Okay. So we're going to need two events. The first is going to be grab pickup. And the second is going to be drop pickup. Okay. So we're going to grab component at location. And then we need to pass a component through here, so we can actually just pass it like that. And we also need a grab location, which we can pass through as well. And then we can do this. I think it's, release component. Like that. And we're going to make a Boolean is holding, and we'll set it to true here, and we'll set it to false here. Now to do that, to automatically pull that out, if you just drag it out, you usually get this option here. Okay. If you hold Alt and drag out, it gives you a set. If you hold Control and drag out, it gives you a get. It's a little bit of a shortcut. Also, Alt clicking breaks a connection, and hold Control and click will change a connection. So pretty handy there. All right. So now let's do a branch right here. This is going to be is holding. So if is holding is true, I want to drop pickup. If holding is not true, I want to do my line trace, and I want to do a check here to say hit component is simulating physics. Okay. We're going to do another branch off of false here because we're not implementing the interface for this object. So if the object is simulating physics, we're going to call grab pickup, and I want to pass through the hit component and the location. Okay. So now we're going to grab it. However, this isn't going to actually hold the object. Because if we hit play here, I click, you see it moves a little bit, but it's not actually picking the object up. Okay. For that, we need some taking, basically, right? So event tick. Okay, so this is just one way you can do this. Okay, just kind of keep that in mind, right? There's a million different ways you could do this, but this is kind of using a physics object, right? So we can set target location of the physics handle to the world location of our target pickup. And also we want to make sure that we're doing our branch here is holding. So only if is holding is true are we going to do that. So now we can move this to be like in front of the character. And this pivot point is going to be the hold location. So if I click, you can see I'm carrying the object and it's a physics object. So if I click like that, it's going to toss it. It's going to keep its momentum. And a better way to do this, let's connect this camera to our camera here. So now when I pick up, it moves with my camera, right? So I can go ahead and throw it and stuff like that. Now, if you don't want it to kind of spin around like it is, you don't necessarily need to do a physics handle. Or you can, actually, let's try this. Set. I know you could do set location and rotation. Yeah, okay, no. So instead of doing that, do that. My dogs are making very strange noises downstairs. I don't know if this will work. Let's see. Let's see if it'll work. That is so weird. Okay, so instead of doing a system like this, we're using a physics handle. What you can also do, get rid of all this stuff, get rid of that and that. We'll still need this stuff. We don't need the component anymore. So here we can, on grab pickup, you can attach component to component, and then we can do that as the parent. Snap to target. And then we can detach from component like that. We may need to set simulate physics to false. And then I guess we will need a reference to this guy. So let's promote him again. Because I will set simulate physics again. And this will be this guy. So now we kind of are holding the object a little bit more still. in the physics engage. And then we can also, yeah, I think that works out pretty well. I'm not sure why I searched Discord. That's odd. Yeah, so let's kind of clean this up a little bit. So add score. I'm going to highlight everything. Press C on the keyboard. I want to just comment these things out a little bit. Grab job pickup. And this is my interact event. This is my begin play. Just kind of cleaning up that stuff. All right, so now we're going to dive into creating a random spawner. So blueprint class, actor, spawn manager BP is what I like to call it. So now, it's very important that pay very close attention to this next part, okay? Because a lot of students kind of get caught up on this. This box collision here that I'm creating is purely for a visual aid to show where your volume is located, okay? So I named it visual box volume. In a construction script, I want to set box extent. We're going to promote this to a variable. Box extent. No, let's do spawn area variable. We'll call it that. We're going to make it public. So now, by making this public, I'm going to default it to 32, 32, 32. It controls where this volume is located, right? Okay, so if I come in here and I look at my box, as I change this value, it's going to change where in the level I'm spawning from. Okay, so in this case, within this box volume, it's going to be spawning objects. Well, sort of within it. It's going to be doing a line trace straight down. But you'll notice that if I alter the scale, it changes it as well. But it does not change the variable. This is very important to note because in the code, the variable is the only thing that's going to be affecting the programming or where items are going to be spawned at. So in order to get an accurate representation of where this volume is, these have to be 1. Okay, you don't want to adjust the scale at all. Because again, this is just a visual representation. This isn't the actual physical volume that it's going to be using. Okay. So in here, create a custom event, spawn. Let's call it spawn event. And then we're going to do a for loop. Now, a for loop, it will cycle however many times you tell it to. Okay, so the last index, I'm going to put the first index at 1. And the last index will be the total number it cycles, right? So if I name this like spawn number, make it public, now I can freely adjust in the level how many items I want to spawn. Okay? So in the loop body, I want to do a line trace by channel. And we're going to be tracing straight down. But I want a random point in a bounding box. and this is going to be my start. And my bounding box is going to be that variable. So, and then this is going to be the actor location. So this is why it's important not to adjust the scale at all in order to get an accurate representation of where your spawning is going to occur, because the only thing affecting where it's spawning is this variable, okay? Quite a few students get caught up on that, so I just wanted to emphasize that that's kind of what's occurring here, right? It's not using the scale or this box volume at all. It's simply using the variable that we're showing, right? So now out hit, if you are looking for a certain thing, like if you're looking for the procedural mesh component or procedural train, excuse me, you can do hit actor and cast and do that. However, I'm just looking to make sure I hit something. So I'm just going to do a branch here. On true, I want to spawn actor from class. And that actor is going to be my physics pickup BP. I want to make sure I have a default value for that mesh. I do, okay. And then my spawn location is going to be my hit location. Okay. Now this is if I want to spawn an object directly on the surface somewhere. I can add to this so it's up in the air a little bit. Or if I want to bury it, I would subtract to put it below the surface. And this is kind of where the random spawner comes into play for the treasure detective game, right? If you subtract this, put the treasure below the surface, and then when you're walking around and digging, you'll be able to pick it up, okay? So in here, let's set our spawn to 20, hit play. Oh, and we actually need to call that event. So I want to call spawn event. And now you see that I have all my spawn objects. And they spawn and all that good stuff. And they're on the surface of everything, right? So see this one spawn on the stair and roll down because it's a physics object. All that good stuff. So now if I wanted to use this in here, physics pickup, right in here. We go to top view. Let's do 50. But we of course need to edit this. So let's go in here. And I want to subtract 100, I guess. And then I don't want to use physics pickups. I want to use my pickup BP. And just so we can, we'll fix that in a second. Just so we can see this, let's do for duration. Okay, so now you can see that we traced. And we're able to see that these objects are getting buried under the surface. And they'll all be in the same depth. Now let's see what this error is. So this isn't accessing the hit component. That's interesting. Okay, so let's do here is valid. which, I mean, that should be the same thing, but that's super weird. So let's see what's going on here. Okay, error's gone. Also, another little trick I wanted to show you for preventing you from digging too deep under the terrain. If you put another regular one of the mesh in here and just lower it. So if we come down here and just lower it like that. And then let's go in here. Let's do minus 75. Now, when I dig, I can't go down too deep. And actually, I think I'm going to bring that up just a little bit. And you can see now I can't keep digging down. So I won't lose, or I won't like get stuck in a hole, for example. You know what I mean? And then we can, of course, make the two different materials and so on. So it looks a little bit more seamless. But you can see despite the curves of my procedural terrain here, the objects are all the same depth underneath, right? So you can use either method for your projects. Oops. So if you're, and let's make this stuff a little bit more dynamic here. I'm gonna promote. Let's split. I'm gonna promote you to a variable depth, and I'm gonna promote you to a variable. Oops. So I don't have to keep opening this. Let's make these two public. Cool. So now I can set what object I'm going to be spawning, and how high I want it to be spawned at. You can see here. Let's do like 100. Let's watch them all fall. And then I think I want to mess around with that a little bit. So let's see, we got our grab pickup event. Oh, let's snap target. Let's see what that does. I don't like that it's doing it right in that top corner. I think that's where the pivot might be on the mesh. Let's turn off real time here. Something like that. There we go. That's a little bit better. Kind of right in front. Works really well. But yeah, so now you can use this spawner for anything. If you want to go below the surface, you would just do minus and then value. You could do your spawn number. If you want to make the spawn area smaller or larger, you could do that here. And you can dynamically choose what objects are going to be spawned. So here, pick up BP, minus 75. If we want it to be slightly sticking out of the ground. Another really cool thing we could do with this, system if we really wanted to. Actually, you know what? Instead of doing that, what we can do, one pickups here, and we're doing this add score functionality, right? So what if we did a variable score value integer, and we set that random int in range, and we say, okay, between 1 and 100, right? Pretty cool. However, what if we tied this value? Oh, let's actually plug this in before we forget. Plug this in here. But what if we tied this value in with a material? So each instance had a different material on it. I think that'd be pretty cool. So let's right click material, pick up match. What am I doing? In here, we're gonna hold 3 left click, hold M left click, and hold 1 left click. Plug these 2 in here. Let's go emissive. And we're going to do unlit shading model. And we want to right click, convert to parameter. This is going to be called color. Right click, convert to parameter. This is going to be called intensity. Yep. So now on our pickup BP construction script, I want to create a dynamic material instance based off of our cube. This is going to be our pickup map. I'm going to promote you to a variable, call it DMI. Beautiful. So now, in here, we have this random value. Okay? So let's set a vector parameter value. In here, we're going to call this color. And I don't know how I want to scale this. Let's say branch. If this is greater than, what's the highest value? If this is greater than 50, I want to set this to yellow. If it is not greater than 50, let's set it to red. And then I want to directly relate this score value with the intensity parameter that we did. So set scalar parameter value. And this is going to be called intensity because that's what we named this variable here. We'll plug this into both, like so. And then this guy is going to plug into here. So this is an integer, so it's only going to be working with whole numbers. That's not a huge deal. So now we should be able to just kind of get this random effect going, which we do. So you can see this shiny one is a lot brighter. So this guy shouldn't be worth too many, 10 points. This guy's worth 4 points. This guy was worth 70 points. So now we have a pretty efficient randomization system set up, right? And you can go as deep as you want with this. You know, if you don't want to just do is greater than 50, make it yellow or red. You could do all sorts of different colors if you really wanted to, right? So yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape there. I'm not sure if anybody's in here with me. Doesn't look like it. I'm not all that surprised because it is super early on a Monday. But let's go ahead and close this out, and we'll do our Git stuff, and we'll close out the chat. So I want to add everything. M. Pickups and spawning. Push to pick up. All right. So now once that's pushed up, we're going to create a pull request. Create pull request. Approve. Let's close the source branch and merge. Get checkout master. I'm going to wait for that to finish merging and then pull. And you'll see all of our stuff will update that we just created right here. Physics pickup, spawn manager, all that good stuff. So now we're ready to work on the next thing. All right, thanks so much, everybody. Y'all have a good night or day, I guess.